Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnanachanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tan Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I already met with some of you yesterday evening, and I'm happy to see others here today. My first visit to Wellington, New Zealand. Today is a very auspicious day. It's a historical day. It's the appearance of Bhakti, Vinoda, Thakur, one of our Acharyas whom you will see here. Prabhupada's spiritual master was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And his father is Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. And you will see an amazing contribution made by three of these great personalities in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. I mentioned to you that, I want to discuss a little bit of the historical perspective. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in which year?
1486.
1486. In 1486, that is the 15th century, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world. And that time it was a Mughal era in India, in Bengal. It was Mughal ruling. And Mughals started ruling exactly in 1526. Babur, the famous Babur invaded India, the Mughal ruling started. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's period was 1486 to 1533, 1534. Some people say 1533, some people say 1534. And I think 48 years means it should come somewhere around 33 or so. So 1534 means Babur started ruling at 1526. So Lord Chaitanya was there on this planet when Babur was ruling India, the first Mughal king. For 8 years he was there, from 1526 to 1534, 7 to 8 years, Lord Chaitanya was here. And if you look at the history, recently Ayodhya temple was resurrected and built and everything in India, you will see that Babur destroyed the Rama temple in Ayodhya and built his mosque, Babri Masjid, it is called Babur's Masjid, Babri Masjid. It was built on top of that. And that is supposed to have done in 1528, 2 years after he took over in India. And at that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there on the planet. In other words, Ramachandra was there on the planet. Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, is Ramachandra himself. Just to give you a perspective of history. So Lord Chaitanya came, he had his disciples, the Sadhu Swamis, who were very powerful representatives, and they were the first generation of disciples of Lord Chaitanya, who did very powerful preaching. And that was carried on by Jiva Goswami, one of the Shat Goswamis. He was like leading into the second generation. And he was a powerful guru and representative of all of them left, and led Srinivas Acharya, Shyamananda Pandit, Narottam Das Thakur, the second generation of amazing devotees who did preaching. He was their Siksha Guru, and he led them. And into the Mughal rule, he also played a very important role. He was involved in preserving all the writings and scriptures written by Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and all the great Goswamis. He held them together. He transported them from Vrindavan to Bengal, and for safekeeping, because the Mughals were attacking the temples and all that. And during that time, he got the Radha Govindaji temple and all these temples built, because he had his disciples who were very close to Akbar. They were Rajput kings, and they were close. There's a huge history to it. And he used his influence with Akbar and used them, who were very close, to build these temples and keep the things in. Then it's also mentioned that he got Rajput princesses married to Mughals, some Muslim kings, so that they will not attack Jaipur. And in Jaipur he showed all the deities. He did some lot of strategies, and he was an amazing influence. That was the second generation. After that there was a big lull in the whole preaching and in the establishment of Gaudiya. For about 200-250 years, you will see after that generation nothing much happening. In fact, Lord Chaitanya's followers were considered to be very low class. Aud, Baul, Kartabej, Sakhi Bekhi, there were 14 different types of Apasampradayas started. Everybody claiming to be representatives of Lord Chaitanya and the followers, and all sorts of crazy things were happening. Nobody was knowing exactly what it is. And they said, oh, these guys are crazy foolish. We don't believe. Lord Chaitanya's followers have got a very bad name. That time appeared in 1838, appeared Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, Kedarnath Datta, born to a nice aristocratic family. But he went through a lot of challenges in his younger days during his life history. We have not had time to go into all the details. But he was called the seventh Goswami. The Shat Goswamis during Lord Chaitanya's time, he came to be called the seventh Goswami. He was so powerful because he reinstated Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings in very difficult times, when people had a very bad opinion. He was such a powerful visionary. And his life also is mixed with a lot of things. He was a very powerful intellectual and a multi-talented personality. If you look at his life, it's very amazing. He was a magistrate in the British government. It was very rare that an Indian will be a magistrate. But the British had so much faith in him. And he was such a good, well-read person that he would speak on Milton, Shakespeare, and Paradise Lost. He would speak on all sorts of things and write poems in English, which the Britishers appreciated very much. Yeah, in our language, this Indian is writing and he studied our stuff so good. So he was commenting on all these things. And he had a very strong Western influence in his life. And then the Christian tradition also. He read the Bible, he read all scripture, and the Christians were more of the Britishers and their evangelism and everything he got involved in. Plus, he was born in a family that were Shakta worshippers, worshippers of Devi. In his house was Shakta worship going on. You can imagine, he's not like born into a Vaishnava family like Prabhupada. But he was an amazing person. This was his background. Very well read, highly talented, and known intellectually to be a powerful personality, and all these things. He discovers Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings. He comes to hear about this thing and he goes looking around for a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He does not find it anywhere. So great was the teaching of Lord Chaitanya going on that he could not get a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita anywhere. But he was a magistrate. He used his influence and got himself a tattered, finally old copy. He read that. Because he as an intellectual and as a person researching and reading a lot, he wanted to read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings. It seems he was in his 20s when he read Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was completely floored by Lord Chaitanya and his teachings and his life. And he went in search of more of that matter and he started voraciously reading and writing. And then he started preaching. He says, no, it's not that he was like he found out all these things. And then he identified all these sampradayas who were not as per Lord Chaitanya's teachings. He categorized and classified them. 14 apasampradayas he classified. These guys, they claim to be Lord Chaitanya's representatives and they get a mileage, but they are not speaking. In this way, you will see he has written and classified them, and in each of their characteristics also he has written. All of these other sampradayas. And he did this foundational service of re-establishing Lord Chaitanya and his teachings. And he started preaching the holy name. He started publishing magazines. You know, there was a magazine called Sajjana Toshani. You would be very surprised to know, I discovered that my great-great-grandfather in South India, in Kerala, he was a Ram Bhakta. Recently I came to Wellington and visited the village. My roots. This is how I came to know the influence of Bhakti Thakur. He was a Ram Bhakta, but he used to get this magazine Sajjana Toshani. He was reading it. He became influenced that of Lord Chaitanya's teachings that we must do Harinam Sankirtan and we must chant the holy name and we must preach that. So in Palakkad in Kerala, he was a drawing master, teaching drawing and arts, everything in the school. He would in the evenings go door to door, tell people to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in the houses those days, they did not have the beads and all culture coming from Bengal up here. So you know, tamarind seeds, he would ask them to take 108 tamarind seeds, put it from one thing to the other. Every time you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare, Hare Rama, put one here, put one here. 108 times you must chant in the house. And because he was a very well-known person socially, they were doing it in Kerala, in Palga. And he was influenced by Bhakti Thakur, Sajjana Toshani, and he was preaching door to door. This was the influence of Bhakti. I found out this. And then I found out from my great-grandfather, great-grandmother told me when I was very young to chant Hare Krishna. She would tell me that her father, who was a person preaching, used to do this. When I was very young, my great-grandmother used to tell me, you should every evening, you come back from playing, to chant Hare Krishna. And I used to chant those days every day 12 times in the evening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Very fast I chant so that I want to eat dinner. And I should tell some Saraswati prayer, some Ganesh prayer and all that. I was introduced to the chanting of the holy name by the influence of Vinoda Thakur. When I was very young, I traced this out. The powerful preaching of Vinoda Thakur. At that time, it was affected in South India. From Bengal, he's preaching, and he traveled everywhere. Such an influential person. Everybody had forgotten Lord Chaitanya, his teachings, and if at all they remembered, they had a bad opinion. Because of all this. Aul, Paul, Kartabej, Sakhi Bekhi, Gauranga Nagari, like that, there are 14 Apasampradayas he listed and he did a research. Very sharp person. And he was working as a magistrate for the British government. And they had so much, faith and trust in him. As a man of good moral, ethical code, you tell him anything, he will finish the job. Paka, like the Britishers he was. He appreciated their type of working and their culture and everything. And he had 14 children. Not 1, 2, 3 hours. Nowadays, one child and all that, they start screaming, oh, I cannot maintain, difficult and all that. He had 14 children. One of them was Bhakti Saraswati. So this is the character whom we are talking about. So he was born in 1838, 19th century. And he passed away in 1916, when he was 76 years old. By the time he had written more than 100 and odd books on Lord Chaitanya and his philosophies. And one he sent abroad because he believed that we should preach this all over the world. The non-sectarian teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not only meant for us, so-called Hindus, but for everybody else. He was a contemporary of many great Bengal followers, philosophers and everything. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Vidyasagar, all of these people were his contemporaries. And these people were his close friends. He studied with them in college, some of them. So they all knew his capacity also. For intellectual capacity, his analysis, his writing, his well-read. He read so many things. He'll speak about Shakespeare, he'll talk about Milton, he'll talk about Lord Chaitanya. About any subject matter, very well read. And also a magistrate. And whole night he would sit and write. He was writing a lot. This is just to give you a brief glimpse of a very great Acharya. I talked to you about the first generation of disciples, second generation, Jiva Goswami with Narottam Das Thakur, and the third generation is Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, Bhakti Saraswati Thakur and Prabhupada. The fire of Bhakti Vinoda Thakur and how he brought back all the teachings of the Goswamis, put it down in writing and everything, and then under him is Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. All of these people were operating in the British times. Mughal times you have Jiva Goswami and all of them and Lord Chaitanya. In the British times, British ruling is Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, very favourable to the British ruling. He had very good opinion and impression about the Britishers. Also they were colonizers and everything. He had a reason because he wanted to utilize them for spreading Krishna consciousness. Then only, very smart. And he brought the first railway line to Navadvip. You can see the narrow gauge railway line. He brought to Navadvip. He did a lot of things in Navadvip and development in those areas, a lot of things in Puri. And we have many stories about him going against false people who were preaching. He was, very deadly against them and all that. And he had very good influence and very good name in society. So Bhakti Vinoda Thakur's son was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, another fiery preacher, exactly like his father. And it's very amazing that he went through a lot of challenges in his younger days, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. Not only social challenges, but also inside him. He was from a Shakta tradition. At home they were worshipping Devi and all that. And he is very much exposed to the Western group of people amongst the Britishers he was moving. And he had a high opinion of them and the way they were doing things in India. And then he also got involved with the Apasampradayik type of a following. in which there was Bipin Bihari Goswami coming. He took initiation from him. And you'll see he doesn't mention anything much about his guru. He took initiation from Bipin Bihari Goswami. It was like one of these little bit off type of this thing. So most of his association was with Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Jagannath Das Babaji, Maharaj and all of them. He took inspiration of Lord Chaitanya's teachings from them, not much from Bipin Bihari Goswami. So one instance I'll tell you. Although even then you would go and respect him. You are my guru, initiative. But he was not like a thorough Gaudiya Vaishnava type person. Little mixed with some things. And his ideas and opinions on Brahmana and Vaishnavas and all that were a little differing from what Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood from Lord Chaitanya's teachings. So it seems he used to go with his Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as his son to meet Bipin Bihari Goswami. And it seems when he would pay obeisance to Bipin Bihari Goswami and give him some fruits and some dakshina and everything. At that time, Bipin Bihari Goswami kept his leg on top of his head to bless him. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur was a small boy standing next to him and watching. He didn't pay obeisances at that time immediately. Paid a little bit. Father is paying, I also have to pay. But then he got up and he watched that he's putting his feet on my father's side. Then father gave her this thing and left his child there and went into the ashram. He stood there only without going. Then after his father went, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur told Bipin Bihari Goswami, you think you have the right and the authority and the spiritual capacity to put your feet on my father's head? You know who my father is? My father is, reincarnation of Sakhi, Manjari, from the spiritual world. You can put your head on his head. He was stunned at this boy talking to me. He was very stunned at that. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur came. He made a very polished statement. Your son is capable of making brash and rude comments also. But he's told in a very posh. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew his son very well. He's a Paka devotee and powerful preacher, and he's training him up. He said, yeah, I know. He just left. This is the type of situation Bhaktivinoda Thakur is in. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's thing is not nicely founded, it's lost. They're all Apasampradaya people, and his guru is also a little bit like that. And his son is not like that. He's like trained Paka by father. Son has found out this man is not correct. He's not correct. So sharp individuals there, but still respecting nicely and following the culture. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur went ahead to foundationally bring out Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings and again reinstate them respectfully with dignity and prestige. No, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers are not like his old Kartabej, Sakibeki and all that. That's not correct what they said. These people are not correct. The right thing is this, and he instituted it. And his son started taking it up very nicely. And after his passing away in 1916, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur took over. He established 64 Gaudiya Mathas. And he was a Simha Guru, he was called, lion-like Guru. And his product was Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The same spirit that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had, I think somewhere in his 20s or something, he wrote Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and Precepts, a small booklet. He sent it to McGill University, Canada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The first book that went. And that same year, Prabhupada was born. This is in 1896. In 1896, Prabhupada appeared. You know, his birthday is 1896. And at that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent this book to McGill University. So people compare these two dates and said he was meant to go to these places behind the book. That book went to McGill University and it started the first entry into Western lands, Lord Chaitanya's teachings. In this way, these are very powerful personalities. They are sent directly by Krishna, amazing acharyas. And in these three personalities, that is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, are so closely connected to each other actually. In establishing, they had a plan. And that plan was carried out by the next, whatever he could do, is like a relay race, you know, they take the baton and run. And okay, I finished so much, you do the next, and they ran and he did. The finishing line is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He went across, preaching and exploded the preaching all over the world. And that's why Prabhupada was very, very indebted to Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and all the Shatya Swamis and the previous acharyas. This is how we are all sitting here. It's the work done by all of these great acharyas. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur reminds me of Varahadev always. He dived into the ocean and took Bhumi out and put back in orbit. He dived inside dirty places where, you know, all sorts of wrong things are being told, and pulled out Lord Chaitanya's pristine teachings and put it in place in orbit again. And after him came Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur did an amazing job of taking it all over the world. This world is not an easy place to speak the absolute truth. They instantly contaminated. Sakala neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. It gets spoiled immediately. As soon as Krishna speaks, it just speaks. Corroded, polluted, eroded, and then they bring it down to normal, make everything material. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur reinstated and Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur established Gaudiya Math as an institutional preaching, and Prabhupada took it further. If you read the history in perspective, you will see what they have done. And we are the next generation. After Prabhupada, the next generation of people preaching. They did a powerful job, and all of you, all of us, are also supposed to contribute to that in a different way according to time, place, situation, and circumstance. That is set up by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So all of you are very much connected with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and you are carrying out his wishes. By carrying out the instructions of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, you are doing that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is watching you. I believe in this. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is watching you. How you are preaching in this land, in Wellington. And you are all connected very directly to the Bhagavad. And that we should know, we should honor that. Today is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance. We can offer our praise to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But at the same time, you must not think that you are too smart. And think that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is wonderful. You know, one disciple of Prabhupada went to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was writing and he spoke to him and said, I like Bhaktivinoda Thakur very much. He told Prabhupada. And Prabhupada just went on with this. And then he spoke for some time and said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is my most favorite author. He told this to Prabhupada. You know, in the Western world, people just speak what they feel like very nice. They're not like, in India, we'll wonder, is the right thing to talk? Should I talk? Should I not talk? Is it culturally all right? Most probably you won't talk. But I was so, I have a question I want to ask what is wrong with that. It's a good thing, it's a good quality. Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is my most number one favorite author. Prabhupada took his specs and put down and looked at him. I said one sentence. Amazing, he said. He looked at him and said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is your second favorite author. This is amazing. It's there written in the Prabhupada Nectar book by Satsuru Maharaj. He said this to him, put his specs back, and went to his work. I know Bhaktivinoda Thakur. what I want you to do is to read my books first. I have introduced you to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All his works are inside that. First read and understand. Without telling him, he told him, I am your most number one favorite author. That's all. Period. Isn't this amazing? And somebody would think that, oh, he contemplated Bhaktivinoda Thakur and he made himself great. No. He knows what he's doing. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur knows what Prabhupada is saying. It's so close and amazing understanding of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his vision. I'm executing it right here. And I tell you, you're wrong. I am your favorite author. In that is included Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I found this institution to be very powerful. Sometimes devotees go beyond and try to read all sorts of works which they cannot understand in proper perspective. So they are very powerful acharyas and they are very closely interconnected. And Prabhupada knows what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants and he's already instituted it. And what Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur wants is instituted Pakka. Simply follow his instructions. You will be automatically pleasing Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Don't become a little too smart. Prabhupada gave this statement, don't become a greater Paramahamsa than your Guru. Sit down and listen in the class. The statements Prabhupada made at times, strong statements, powerful sutras for us to understand and know. So I want to remember Bhaktivinoda Thakur here today. We also want to talk something about Haridas Thakur. So I want you to know that we should ask today for the blessings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I don't know if you are having some Pushpanjali today. So we will all offer our prayers. Please repeat after me to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya.
Namo Bhakti Vinodaya.
Satchitanandanamine.
Satchitanandanamine.
Gaura Shakti Swarupaya.
Gaura Shakti Swarupaya.
Rupanugavarayate.
Rupanugavarayate.
Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur Avirbhav Mahotsav ki Jai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahashaya ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. We are always very dependent on the mercy of Guru, on the mercy of the Parampara, and all the great Acharyas. By getting their blessings, we can make amazing progress in spiritual life. And they are very kind, very merciful, and they have done an amazing amount of service for the future of this Krishna consciousness movement. Set its foundation together. Prabhupada specifically called himself the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He was not very happy with the way his godbrothers carried out things in the Gaudiya Matha of his spiritual master. He was very pained to see certain things happening. So he established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He carried out the instructions and the vision of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and by following Prabhupada's instructions closely, we will be satisfied then. Because the line goes ahead in so many great personalities. In Lord Chaitanya's time is Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is actually an incarnation of Brahma from Krishna Lila onwards. His appearance has got connection with Krishna Lila also. So Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family and he became a chanter of the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He was born even before Lord Chaitanya. It seems when Lord Chaitanya was born, he was already 50 years old. He was already 50 years old. And tomorrow is the disappearance day of Haridas Thakur. He passes away. in the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is a very heart-rending, beautiful pastime described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I thought I'll share with you in the next time that we have. And it's so moving. Haridas Thakur was in a Muslim family and he was a very soft-hearted, very nice devotee of Krishna and completely dedicated to chanting the holy name. He spent almost 23 hours a day chanting the holy name. 1 hour for doing his many different daily chores. But he was continuously chanting. I heard he was chanting some 192 rounds a day. We are finding it so challenging to chant 16 rounds a day. He was like chanting 191, so many million names of Krishna every day. And it's humanly impossible if you look at it with a calculator at that time, how is it possible here to chant? He was chanting. Because he was very focused in chanting the holy names. So, there is a story you must have heard about how the local person sent a prostitute to him to put him down and all that. Ramachandra Khan, he did that and lots of things happened after that. You know that famous story of him. So he did not fall down. He actually converted the prostitute into becoming a devotee and a person who was chanting the holy name. Then there's a story of Maya Devi herself coming to throw him down. She also was defeated. Such was the power of the chanting of the holy name of Haridas Thakur. So Lord Chaitanya, when he appeared, he accepted him and gave him the title Namacharya. And Prabhupada translates that in English as the Dean of the Faculty of the Chanting of the Holy Name. He's the Dean of the Department of the Chanting of the Holy Name. That's the meaning of Namacharya, Prabhupada explains. He's the authority on the Holy Name. So, Haridas Thakur, a very sweet, wonderful devotee who kept Krishna in his heart and constantly the Holy Name in his tongue. Doesn't know anything else. And so very dear to Lord Chaitanya, and for him Lord Chaitanya is very dear to him. Because he knows he is Krishna and he has come to implant the holy name in Kali Yuga. And Lord Chaitanya would pay a lot of respect to Haridas Thakur. And he would ask him, through his mouth, he got the glories of the holy name. Would make Lord Chaitanya would make Haridas Thakur speak the glories of the holy name through his mouth. And whenever he would ask, what about all the trees and plants and the birds and the insects, how they will get liberated? My dear Haridas Thakur, tell me. And Haridas Thakur would say, my dear Lord, what can I tell you? You have already liberated all of them. You went to Jarikanda forest and you did Harinam Sankirtan with all the animals. The tigers joined you, the giraffes joined you, the deers joined you, the lions joined you, elephants joined you, the crocodiles joined you, and they loudly chanted and danced with you in the forest. And at that time, all the trees and plants, everything are already hearing your holy name. And they heard from your own mouth, and that is still vibrating and resonating inside the forest, and all the trees, plants, birds, insects are already liberated by you. And you are asking me how they will get liberated. It is very amazing that you are making me say these things. My tongue is just like the string on the veena. You pick it, it will produce sound. You are asking me to speak about the glories of the holy name, so I shall speak. But it is you who is speaking through me. I don't know, but you are making me speak. Like this, Haridas Thakur very humbly spoke the glory of the holy name for Lord Chaitanya to hear. And he, on the order of Lord Chaitanya, came to Puri, but he would not visit the temple to see Jagannath. because I didn't want to create a social disturbance. Because everybody knows I'm from a Muslim family. I know they know that I chant Hare Krishna. So, amazing things have happened in the past. The Chand Kazi, the Muslim king, and all of them together, they beat up Haridas Thakur in 22 marketplaces. That's another touching story, which you will have heard also. They whipped him to death almost. Because when Haridas, this Chand Kazi, the Kazi, not the Chand Kazi, the Kazi here, it's a different person. He became very envious of Haridas Thakur getting a lot of name and fame, so many Hindus coming to see him, so many even Muslims going to see him, and he's telling everybody to chant the holy name. So he became very disturbed and envious, and he said this fellow should be cut down. So then the king had a sentiment for him. And somehow he was brought to this thing, and the king told him, you better, convert yourself back to a Muslim again. Why is it that you are a Hindu? And then Haridas Thakur gave a very nice explanation, beautiful explanation why he is chanting. And why he's got nothing to do with all these things. And all that. But under the Qazi's influence, who is like a Muslim head, he could not do anything much. They said, these fellows will do all sorts of things to you, why don't you just agree and say that you are not going to chant anymore, and otherwise they put you into a lot of trouble. Then for that also Haridas Thakur gave a wonderful explanation of what I am doing, why I am doing, and how it's the same Allah and everything together. And finally they decided to punish him because he's not listening. And the king could not do anything much. So the king gave the order. They took him to all the marketplaces, and each of those places, especially higher people, were whipping him. They whipped him till his last breath. And in every place he got up and again chanted Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He didn't stop chanting. Because he had full faith in the holy name. And then they came and told him, why don't you die at least? Because how much ever we are beating you, you are chanting the holy name. And you are very amazing, you are not dying. The type of beating we have done, people would have died long back. In the first marketplace itself, they would have left their body. But you are continuing to chant. And because of you, we will be in trouble. Either you should die, or you should stop it. So that we can go and report. We become so tired beating you up. In this way, they went and appealed to him. He said, okay, this is what you want, so that you don't get a bad name. So he feigned and pretended to have died. So they brought his body and put it in front of the Qazi, and the king said he's dead. Then there was a debate as to what to do with him. Cremate him, or bury him, or throw him in the ocean. So the Qazi said, don't cremate him or bury him, he'll become very famous, he'll become a martyr. Just throw him in the ocean. Disrespect him. Just throw him in the ocean. So they swung him and threw him in the ocean. In the river, the ocean. And he floated in the river, and the body was carried to the other side. He got up and he again chanted Hare Krishna and walked. Watching this, these two people said, this person is completely holy man. Is totally transcendental. There is no use doing anything to him. This is proof. I know how much I have whipped him. And then they went and told the king, this man is he's not an ordinary person. This Qazi, don't listen to him. I know that we have whipped him enough for him to die 10 times. But he is gone and he is chanting again. He is a holy man. This was the type of person Haridas Thakur was. Just the holy name. The chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. How does he have this type of faith in the holy name? So there is a precursor to this. In Krishna Leela, Brahma, the famous Brahma Vimohana Leela. You don't have time to recollect that. Brahma made a very big mistake of thinking this is a small cowherd boy there. Took off his caps and his cowherd boys and hit them. Then Krishna taught him a lesson. I'm not a small cowherd boy, I disagree absolute truth. See, all the cowherd boys are still here. It's called Brahma Vimohana Leela. And it is mentioned there that Krishna did not like in his pastime that Brahma did this. To my associates, to my gopas, to my cows, to my calves, you did this. But when Indra did that other pastime of Govardhan, this thing, he rained and stormed Vrindavan, it was not so bad, it seems. Why? Because of Indra, 7 days he got to remain with the Vrajavasis underneath the hill, and he enjoyed pastimes with them, doing nothing else but each one of them looking at each other. And they had amazing time together. So Indra facilitated the pastime. So although he did wrong, they said, okay, you're a silly fellow, you have become a little mature, and sent him back. But Brahma Vimohana Leela, Krishna did not tell anything to him. Brahma came and paid obeisances and cried with his 4 heads down. Krishna didn't say anything to him. The Bhagavatam agreed. He was still with his curd rice in his hand, pickles in between his fingers, what mother has sent. 1 year is over. After he is told of this, still the pastime is very amazing. Radha Sura, we don't want to go into that. Krishna didn't, because he's a very intelligent person. 4-headed Brahma, the most intelligent person in the universe. Indra is okay, the Lord, a demigod, who said, okay, you're anyway immature fellow, you better become alright, and gave him instruction. Because he came with Surabhi and all that. But Brahma, it seems, Brahma itself felt that, why don't you just scold me, chastise me, curse me, do something to me? Nothing Krishna did. Simply kept quiet when Brahma paid obeisances. And that did not leave Brahma with a good feeling. That's why he said something else should happen. So he is known to have learned and heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that the same Krishna will come as Lord Chaitanya, and that time he will be very merciful. So he went to Antardvip, today in Navadvip you will see, and there Brahma did tapasya. I want to see you and ask you for mercy. So he did tapasya to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya appeared to him even before he actually appeared. We said 1486 he appeared, no. He appeared to Brahma and told him that, don't worry, my dear Brahma, I know that in my pastime as Krishna these things have happened, but there is a reason for this. You are going to appear with me when I appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There you will get all what you want happening to you. That is why it is mentioned he was whipped in 22 marketplaces. Because he wants that something you do to me for the offense that I have done. Okay, you do this because you will be Haridas Thakur and you will be Namacharya and you will help me to propagate the holy name. You will be a very close associate. This is how that Brahma became Haridas Thakur and so-called suffering for him, being lived in marketplaces and all that happened. Now that Haridas Thakur was very elderly. He was chanting Hare Krishna, there's so many 3 lakh times a day, names a day. And Lord Chaitanya would come to see him every day because he had taken the sankalpa of not disturbing society and not going to the temple. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come every day and give him prasadam, Lord Jagannath prasadam. So that's why it's mentioned the same Jagannath is coming to as Lord Chaitanya to see Haridas Thakur. It's the same Krishna, same Jagannath, same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, same personalities. So there's a song like that. And Haridas Thakur would very carefully, with great reverence and great value, receive that prasadam from Lord Chaitanya and be very humble. He's so humble that many times Lord Chaitanya has to personally attend to him. So one fine day, Haridas Thakur is lying down. He's sick. Govinda comes and finds out that what's happened. He's lame. not able to. So Lord Chaitanya comes to see him. And he's lying down like this, unable to get up. So there's a beautiful conversation. And he asks, what is wrong? He said, everything is right. Because Govinda brings him prasadam. And then in the previous day, in the conversation, that Govinda says, why don't you take prasadam? He said, no, I cannot take. Why? Because I have not chanted my rounds. My prescribed number of rounds I am not able to do because of old age and sickness. So therefore I will not eat. So he paid obeisances to the prasadam and took one small bit of it and put it to honor, because Krishna is come in form of prasadam. But I will not take because I am not chanting my rounds. This report went to Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya came and told him, what's wrong? He said that everything is right with my body and I think my mind is got a problem. Why? I'm not able to finish my rounds. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, no, nothing is wrong with your mind also. You are becoming older. It is okay if you chant lesser. Immediately Haridas Thakur said, don't try to cheat me. Don't say this to me. I must chant. I have taken this vow and I must chant. Otherwise I will not eat. He put on himself this great rule and regulation. I will not eat unless I chant. Lord Chaitanya is saying, it's okay. Don't do. You are old. Because he is very elderly. When Lord Chaitanya was born, he was 50 years old already. So you can imagine how old he must be. So that was the way his sadhana was. And then he said, I have only one desire from you. Tell me, Haridas Thakur, Krishna will have to satisfy any desire you have. He's so obliged to you because of your being such a wonderful example to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Hare. It was Krishna himself telling this to Haridas Thakur as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna will be very pleased to carry out whatever desire you have. He must. He's putting it in a different way. And he said, my only desire is, you will be leaving very soon, I know that. And I don't want to live in this world when you are not there yet. I desire to leave my body before that. All I desire is to look at you, chant your name, hold your lotus feet close to my chest and give up my body. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so be it. Exactly like what you want, it will be done. He gave word to him. Haridas Thakur is saying, this is how I want to pass out from this world. He said, so be it. I will make arrangement for that to happen. The next day, it was supposed to happen. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he asked, what is news? He said, everything is good news. Your coming here is the greatest news. For me, everything is very positive and very happy. And in this way, he held Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet to his chest. And there's a beautiful painting of Lord Chaitanya stretching his feet to him, and he's holding his feet to his chest, and he chants Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name. He chants his name, and he chants, and he leaves his body in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Exactly like how he wanted. And Lord Chaitanya made that arrangement for him. And then amazingly, Lord Chaitanya became very emotional. He lifted Haridas Thakur's body in his hands. And he had all of them down kirtan around. And lifting his body in his hands, he leaped and started dancing. This was an amazing description Chaitanya. Normally Lord Chaitanya dances is very beautiful to see. When he was dancing in Varanasi, all of them saw and said, what a beautiful sannyasi. Ajanulambita Vijo Kanakavadato Sankirtanaikanupano Kamala Yataksho. This looks very beautiful. Ajanulambita Vijo, like 7 feet tall, golden colored complexion. Just one saffron cloth around his waist. Looks very beautiful. And you can see him leaping and dancing very high in holy name. His eyes are filled with tears. And then he's always chanting Krishna's name. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam is mentioned there. He's very beautifully chanting the holy names and dancing. But now he is lifting Haridas Thakur also, leaping and dancing in Kirtan. And through his eyes, tears are coming out, holding Haridas Thakur, so ecstatic, holding Haridas Thakur, so happy. He dances, and then the Kirtan is stopped, and then they go to the beach, and Lord Chaitanya personally digs a nice place in the beach, and he personally places Haridas Thakur in it, and he personally gives him the garlands of Jagannath, all the various paraphernalia of Jagannath on his chest, places his chanting mala on the chest, and with his own hands closes Haridas Thakur's samadhi. And then builds the friends around, and then does pradakshina around and does great kirtan continuously. And then he goes to the marketplace in front of the Lord's temple, and there he asks from each one of them, he begs and asks, for Haridas Thakur has passed away, give me something to distribute prasadam and have a big feast. So his servants come and say, you don't have to do this. My Lord, we will bring for you. He was in the ecstasy of Haridas Thakur's passing away. He wanted to glorify him. He started talking about Haridas Thakur to everybody as though he had 5 mouths. The glories of Haridas Thakur he was speaking to everybody. What a wonderful devotee he is. How he chanted the holy name. How he heard Krishna's instruction. And he was glorifying Haridas Thakur. Then in everybody's plate he gave a lot of prasadam, because remembering Haridas Thakur. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu celebrated the passing away of Haridas Thakur, gloriously, speaking the glories of the holy name, speaking the glories of Haridas Thakur for having chanted the holy name and spread the glories of the holy name. Haridas Thakur Mashai ki, Jai Mahaprabhu ki, Nitai Guru Premanande. Because he chanted this amazing kirtan, today we are also going to do a kirtan for the next 5-10 minutes. And remembering Haridas Thakur and his disappearance and Lord Chaitanya's amazing Harinam Sankirtan. So we've been able to visit the lives of 2 great, amazing devotees, Bhakti and Thakur. They all spread the holy name. You can imagine how happy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be if Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada carried the holy name to every nook and corner of the world. And now everywhere, people chant the holy names. All over the world, Prithivite Ache Jata Nagaradi Gram, Sarvatra Prachar Hoive Moranam. Prabhupada believed in this, that in every nook and corner of the world it will be chanted. Here we are in Wellington, in New Zealand, and we should chant the holy name on this disappearance day of Haridas Thakur and the appearance day of Bhakti Thakur, and send this powerful message to Prabhupada, the whole Parampara, and Lord Chaitanya, that we will do this. We will carry out the preaching of the holy name, that everybody, at least in this Wellington Island, will actually get to chant the holy name, take prasadam and read Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This sankalpa we should take. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. There is victory if you chant the holy name and have faith in the holy name.